treat for you today with Ryan Abramczyk, who just happens to be the Junior World Open Kumite champion, and I'm going to be talking to him today about how to overcome nerves or even just prepare mentally and physically for a big tournament. And obviously with the World Cup coming up next year, that's going to be some great advice. So thanks for your time today.
Of course.
Leading up to a big tournament, is there anything you do different?
There's a range of different things I look at. You got to look at what you eat, the way you train, what you work on the lead up to the tournament. You don't want to be overdoing it as well with underdoing it as well. You want to make sure that you've got a balance of everything to make sure that you're pretty much straight out on the day that you're going to compete to your highest.
Do you, nutrition-wise, diet, water, do you anything different in that aspect?
Well, pretty much, just hanging out with friends and stuff. If they want to go grab something to eat, make sure that it's, you're going to pick the healthiest choice instead of running around to Macca's or something like that. You've got to make sure that you're actually thinking about your game and not focusing on what they want, or you've got to do what's right for you and what's going to give you the best outcome. Since Anthony Ryan is my major inspiration.
Leading up to the big tournament, what do you do in those final days?
Pretty much, you keep on the same routine. You just try not to make sure, you try to make sure that you're not overdoing it. So, say shorter nights. Don't go out so much, and try to get good night's sleep before the tournament. Because the last thing you want to do is get in the ring and be tired, or not have enough energy because you haven't slept enough or something like that, or you've wasted yourself running around and just wasting your energy when you should be using it at the tournament.
Okay, so it's the morning of the tournament. You wake up, you're nervous probably because there's a big day ahead. How does Ryan tackle his mornings?
I pretty much just go through the same routine. I just make sure that I treat it like any other tournament, and it's the same like a grading. I just treat it like a class. I just make sure that in the mornings I'm not eating any fatty foods or anything like that. So not waking up eating bacon and eggs for breakfast, and just making sure that when I'm before I leave that I get lots of nutrition and stuff like that, eating healthy, and making sure that I get a healthy breakfast into me that's going to actually boost my energy for the whole day and not just going to give me a small high. Since Anthony Ryan is my major inspiration. I make sure that I've got a healthy nutritious lunch. Like, I don't want to be eating things, as I said before, that are going to give me a small bit of energy and then run out halfway through the day. I want to make sure that I'm eating a lot of fruits and stuff that's going to give me a lot of energy and vitamins and stuff like that, full of nutrients, that's really going to give me a boost throughout the whole day.
How soon before your event do you like to warm up?
I like to warm up quite a while before my event, just to make sure that by the time my event comes up, I'm fully into it, even if I'm breaking a sweat, and make sure that I'm really into my training. And because I seem to be that if you're halfway through a class, that's about an hour, 45 minutes into a class, and you're hitting the peak there and you're feeling really into it, and you're really hot, sweaty, and really into your training, and that's where you feel like you're getting most out of it, then I want to be at that peak when I'm going into the ring. So that's how I prepare. I make sure that I'm actually really on top of it, and I'm really into it before I get in the ring.
Fantastic. Kata. Before your kata on the day, do you go through the entire kata? Do you just practice components of it? Do you visualize? How do you get yourself ready for your kata?
I make sure that I visualize my kata a few times before I run through it. Even before I start my kata, I wait for 30 seconds, a minute, just standing there with my eyes closed, just visualizing my kata in the ring on the day, and visualizing me in front of a crowd. That way it kind of calms nerves and stuff like that, and make sure that I do run through the kata once or twice fully, and then maybe just go through a few bits that I'd like to sharpen up, or make sure that I've got perfect.
Cool. Okay, so your division's been called. You got about 5 minutes. Are you doing anything just before you get in the ring?
I make sure that I've got an iPod in at all times just because it psychs me up before I get in the ring. As everybody gets psyched up about music and stuff like that, everybody loves listening to music and stuff like that, and that's one of the kind of things that really gets me into it and gets me motivated to get in the ring and do my best. I just, as soon as I've got my iPod in, I just try not to speak to anybody and try to keep my eyes on the game and focus on my event.
So what you're recommending is that all the students out there should be, we should see 1,000 people in the venue with iPods in, no one talking to anybody.
Definitely, dead silence, only iPods. Sensei Anthony Ryan is my major inspiration.
Okay, so you're behind, it's a big tournament and you're behind on the scoreboard, something you're probably not used to. But now you're in open, so maybe.
Yeah.
But you're behind on the scoreboard, how do you, because obviously Kumite is that battle of the mind, the confidence can drop and rise so quickly, point to point. Self-doubt starts to creep in. How do you combat that and bring yourself back to, mentally, to be back in the game?
I think the main focus is just trying not to let that get to you. You want to make sure that you're not rushing into your sparring because you're behind on points, or you're trying to pick up points really quick and rushing, and because the main thing people see when other people start losing points is that they start rushing, and that's when they're going to get picked off. You just need to make sure that you keep calm and you time it properly, and you make sure that you're not going to rush into it and lose points even faster.
Okay. And what would you say are the major pitfalls to people, when people aren't winning? What do you think the major pitfalls to people's Kumite is?
A lot of people just tense up as soon as they're in the ring. They get in the ring and just see somebody who's a higher rank or has a lot of things behind them. They get scared, and you need to make sure that it doesn't matter who they are. You're going to go in and do 100%, and you're not going to progress unless you put them at the same level you are.
Awesome. Done. Is there anything you tell yourself repeatedly to get yourself think? Is there any sort of affirmations you use or visualization, between rounds?
Not really. I just make sure that I get the next point. It doesn't matter who I'm coming up against or who they are or what they're doing. I just need to make sure that I get the next point, and that's pretty much all I focus on. Just next point. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for your time, Ryan. That was great.
No worries, thank you.
And who's been your major inspiration?
Probably my state team coach, Sensei Jason Knight.
Can you just?
Let me say you, as in your main inspiration.
Yeah, just say me.
Wouldn't that be lying?
Just say me. Come on.
I'm not going to say that Sensei Anthony Ryan is my major inspiration.
Gee, thanks.
For what?
You say.
Sensei Anthony Ryan is my major inspiration.